Hi everyone, it's Gail Scott here, and today's video is around why there are channelers on our planet. So my guides came through and they wanted to bring you a message to explain to you what channeling is and why they are communicating with some of us on the planet and bringing us messages. So why does channeling happen? They've told me, well, they have actually been communicating with many of us in many different forms for a very long time, probably about the last century. And so they have said that over the last century, there have been several people, not a lot, but several people who have been able to transmit messages from the other energies that are out there off of our planet and bring forward messages that generally were for either that person to elevate their own level of being, their own conscious awareness, and also to assist us with understanding how our bodies work physically, which makes me think of Edgar Cayce, who is one of the first spiritual mentors that I'm aware of, who was able to trans channel and assist people with their health. And so they want us to understand that they're here to help us. They're here to bring us information that we don't have. Now, the other thing that they've mentioned is that over the last century, many, and I would say, based on my understanding, it has been anyone actually who has used any form of intuitive knowing, kind of a sixth sense or some other kind of medium that brings forward information, that those kinds of individuals have actually been ridiculed and persecuted for a very long time and not actually believed. Because there are many stories where individuals have been killed, abandoned, really not accepted into society because of our own lack of understanding. And because we as a species really like to understand things. And so if something happens that we don't understand, then we tend to deny it. And so that kind of denial and ridicule and how would you say that? Being ostracized has been pretty commonplace, actually. And even to this day, I would say that in my experience as an intuitive, there have been, and my own, and even in my own understanding of myself, as I became aware of my own intuitive abilities, that I had my own preconceived ideas about what it was like to be woo woo and to have this kind of spooky kind of feeling around it and whether it was dangerous or not. But what they're saying to me is that actually in all of the messages that come through, none of them are evil or hateful or despairing. In fact, many of them are love and goodness and assistance and help. Um, and that actually there are many different energies that wish to communicate with us on planet Earth, and actually many different energies that can communicate in many different ways. So it's not always the way that you think. And because these messages are coming from all over the galaxy in many different shapes and forms, then they're different stories. They're different kinds of messages. They're different assistance. They're different communication. And so because there's so many different methods, they're asking us to, keep an open mind, keep keep open to the possibility of what these messages might mean, because many times, especially the individuals who are bringing forward these messages, these are individuals who have at a certain level agreed to do this. And because we have a certain form of amnesia when we come in as a new being, when we're born into an incarnation, we don't often remember that we agreed that we would come in with this kind of gift and be able to do this kind of work. So they're asking for you just to notice, as you become more aware of more people like myself and other channelers and other intuitives, that this is going to be happening more and more and more as the planet elevates her own consciousness. And so they're here to help us. They're here to help with our up-leveling of our own vibration. So as a channeler, I can certainly say that the experience is very new. It's not something that is comfortable at the beginning. In fact, it can be quite frightening to realize that you are transmitting messages from some other form. And I've even been asked, does it take over your body? And it does not for me. Anyway, I find that I am completely aware, much as when I am hypnotized in any kind of hypnotic trance, I'm aware of everything that's going on. That's not true for every channeler, but it is definitely true for me. And I realize now that I've come in with this gift, and this is just what I do. But for some people, it's quite a shock. It's quite surprising for them. Now, as I mentioned before, the messages are all about assistance. They're all about help. They're all about love. They're not anything that's to confuse us or to overpower us in any way, and that we can access them. In fact, all of us can access this at any time, but sometimes what happens is the messages come through cryptically, and so we don't recognize them. And for some of us who are channelers, the messages come through in metaphors and with stories, so that we can then translate that into a language that our audience would be able to understand. And certainly with the private work that I do, I've found that the metaphor messages that I get from my clients don't make any sense to me whatsoever, but my clients are extremely able to connect them to things in their lives and have it make sense. So it's almost as if you're getting your own personal message, on one that vibrates at your level so that you can actually understand it. And this is what's happening right now on the planet, where we are all up-leveling. And so the messages that come through don't come through in language, they come through in vibration, because everything exists within vibration. And so we project this communication that comes through us as channelers through our own vibration in a way that our audience and ourselves can understand it. It's quite a physical experience to do that. And at the beginning, we have to, as channelers, recognize our own limitations with our energy. And sometimes it can be quite tiring. And there can be quite physical manifestations of the changes of the energy coming through our bodies. And I certainly found that in the first couple of months, a few years ago, when I was really starting to bring in some of these energies. And so the frequencies of the collectives or the guides or the messengers or whoever it is that's bringing in the message through the conduit, someone like myself who is a channeler, we have to integrate those frequencies. So their frequency is much higher than ours, and we have to raise our frequency in order for them to connect with us, and they have to lower their frequency so that they can be in that lowered frequency with us. And sometimes that takes time to integrate. So sometimes it will take time for a channeler to even call in their particular message. I have found over time that it's gotten faster and faster as I've been able to do that. And I often don't have to go into any kind of trance anymore in order to be able to call in whoever is bringing in a message, whether it's an individual guide for a person or it's a collective that's coming through for the general public. And I have to really, and we all have to make sure that it doesn't disrupt our own energetic frequency, which means we really have to be grounded, and we have to keep our own energy light and clear and clean. And so it is a physical experience, and it is also an experience that anyone can do. And so that is something that not everyone will want to do, but certainly as a human, you have the capacity to be able to do that. So the messages that I bring through from all the different collectives, and all the messages that I've ever seen coming through from any other channeler are always about love. They're always a deep desire for our experience on this planet to be more pleasant than it is right now, because we have gone through a lot of darkness, a lot of limitation, a lot of fear. And what's happening is that we're moving away from that. We are no longer going to be at this lower vibrational level. And even though it doesn't seem like that right now, it is actually what's happening. We're beginning to turn a corner. And I liken it to the Titanic. The Titanic could not turn fast enough before it hit that iceberg. Well, we are going to go through a bit of an upheaval and some unrest before we're able to be clear of this, let's call it heavier energy. And then we're going to really be moving into something very different. And it is going to show up in hopefully the not too distant future. And we'll have hope. We really need to have hope, because we have so much assistance from the galactic energies right now in the form of light coming into the planet through other planets, through galactic energies that are communicating, guides that are coming through to other conduits and other intuitives. And there is now coming forward on the planet a much higher resonance of light and energy, which is going to have an incredibly uplifting impact on all of us. And for some of us, we're very fortunate, like myself, to be able to be the ones who are bringing these messages to the likes of you, so that you can have hope and you can realize that even though it's been quite dark and quite dismal, in fact, that, you know, just like after winter, there's always a spring. The plants will start to grow, they will flower, the sun will come out, the temperature will rise, and this is what's going to happen. Again, it's just a metaphor that they've given to me to help you to understand that certainly here in the Northern Hemisphere, that we are going to get through this. We are going to see spring show up again, as we always do, but this time it is going to be even better, because we have galactic support to assist us with this. And we are going to be successful, because the consciousness of our planet is also up-leveling, and we have her to support us in addition to all the other energies that come through. So this is called the Great Awakening. And for many of you who may have already been following other messengers and other channelers and reading things about the new earth and new consciousness, you'll be aware of what that means, the Great Awakening. It's the change in the nature of the energy for our own level of conscious awareness, for our physical bodies, for our minds, for our hearts, and for the entire planet. And we don't know exactly when this is going to happen, but it's already happening. And so you need to really think about, you know, where are you sitting in that energetic space right now? Because there's going to be so much more expansion coming forward. And you also would be able to communicate with your own guides. And they're telling me that because there are so many timelines available to us now and so many possibilities of what's coming onto the planet, they say that there are fractals of light which bring forward every possibility available to us in multiple experiences, learnings, growings, and expansion. And so what can you do to play your own part in this expansion, in this evolution of our planet and our species? Well, they suggest that you focus your intention on your heart. Focus through your heart. Focus through intention through your heart. And see that even though there may be a lot of disunity right now, or appear to be a lot of disunity on our planet, there is unity in the world. And they're recommending that you notice where you can love one another more deeply and understand that there will be unity. Even though you may not think it's possible, it is in fact inevitable. It is coming. And that we have a lot of support and love for us through the collectives that I channel and the guides that many other people channel, and bringing in more information that helps us. They're suggesting be gentle with yourself, be gentle with others, but be passionate with yourself. So how can you be of love with any other person that you are talking to or being with? And how can you be more passionate within yourself to raise your own vibration, to access your own heart, to be guided by the wisdom that you have within you? And if we all take our part in doing that, then what we will have is a new world. We'll have our new earth. And it won't be just for right now, it will be for the generations of the children that are to come, that are to inhabit this beautiful planet. And so this is a moment in time where history is changing and our future is changing. And this is a moment that will be remembered for a very long time. So I really encourage you, and they are suggesting that you really begin to pay attention to some of the messages that are coming through for you, because they're coming through to help you to feel better, even though it's darker right now. And that when you can keep your focus through your heart in a gentle, loving way, then you are going to be able to soar to new heights of awareness. You're going to be able to have new levels of consciousness. You'll feel more aligned. And what that means is you'll feel that everything is okay and right with you in the world. And when you do that, your own vibrational level will rise up to the level of this beautiful, expansive light that is coming onto our planet. And it will help you. And that there will be more messages coming forward for you. And I know that from the material that I'm bringing through right now, it's just coming fast and furious. And that this is a pivotal change that we're going through. And not just for us now, but for the entire future of our species and our planet. And that there are many guides and energies out there rooting for us, wanting us to be successful, and that it is inevitable that we will be able to create this new earth. But just as we have to go through the seasons, and certainly here in the Northern Hemisphere, we are in winter. And right now, where I am here in Toronto, we're covered in snow and things have to rest. And yes, we are still in lockdown. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. We are required to be introspective. We're required to rest. We're required to rejuvenate ourselves and regenerate ourselves, much like the earth does in the seasons, because the Great Awakening is coming. It's inevitable, and you're going to be excited. It's going to be energetic, and there's going to be so much more growth and blossoming and new fresh ideas coming forward for all the different things that are going to come on this earth. And so take the time right now to be with yourself, to be gentle with yourself, to access your heart, to focus on what really matters, to be gentle with the people that you love, and to realize that you are not alone, and that there are more messages coming forward that will assist you. And if you're struggling with this, please reach out to others who, like myself, and people who do the work that I do, and get guidance and find strategies and rituals and routines and habits and new patterns and new ways of thinking that can help you feel more positive and feel more hopeful, because that is what's coming, a lot more hope. So I hope that you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please subscribe. Please go to my website, boseinternational.com, and subscribe to my newsletter, where I do send out other information as well. And share this video, because people out there need to hear some hopeful, good news. And this is what this channel is all about bringing messages that are relevant and timely and helpful to you. So I appreciate your time listening. Thank you. And until next time, be well.